honor and privilege to introduce DC Government Representative, Mr. John Falcicchio, Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development in the Government of the District of Columbia. The floor is yours.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is John Falcicchio, and I have the honor of serving as the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development for Mayor Muriel Bowser. So how many folks, this is a participatory session, so how many folks, this is your first visit to Washington, D.C. by show of hands? Okay, great. Oh, wow, welcome, welcome. Now, how many folks have been here once before or, okay? And how many folks have been here more times than they can count? I'll invite you up to help me join this presentation. Well, thank you all for being here. Really, this is about small business. And when you think back over the last 2.5 years, it's really been a trying time in Washington, D.C., but around the world. And when you think about what we had to experience in this city, we had to experience the pandemic, we had to experience the social unrest, and we had to experience a time of great change in the country with a transition of power like none other in our nation's history. So in that time, we knew what it was to sacrifice. We knew what it was to experience loss, but we also saw a resilience that Mayor Bowser will tell the story of around this city, around the region, and around the world. And that story of resilience really starts with our residents. So just the story of Washington, D.C. We are a city of 700,000 people. Before the pandemic, the data shows that we had just crested over 800,000 jobs in this city. So a city of 700,000 residents, job employment network of 800,000 people. And obviously the pandemic shook that. But the first thing that Mayor Bowser did to support our businesses was to make sure, and I heard the word mentioned micro, but she did micro grants to businesses in the first days of the pandemic to ensure that we didn't lose more businesses than we already had. Because we knew at that time that when a business shutters their doors, it takes weeks, months, and years to get those businesses back. So our first thing was to find that immediate relief that we could put forth. So that is how we have managed through the pandemic, and it is how we will bring forth our comeback even faster. So today, I actually was with some small business owners in Ward 8, which is a part of our city, which is under-resourced and underserved, and which we spend a lot of our time focusing on how we can support small business growth there, because small business owners will take chances in places that large businesses won't. So we have a big problem in that area of food disparities, not enough access to fresh food. So what Mayor Bowser did a year ago was put together a fund of $58 million, and it's appropriate that we're in this building because the funding that she used was from the American Rescue Plan. And that funding actually, $58 million, is to DC small businesses to create food access points in Wards 7 and 8, that underserved area of the city. And so already we've awarded 16 businesses to open 17 locations in an area that serves or has residents of about 164,000. Those residents, when you think about food access, they actually, we saw that 46,000 of them were not within a mile or walking distance of a food access point. So by putting together this food access fund and looking to our small businesses to create food access points, we actually were able to cut that number in half with just 1 year of investment. And we know that small businesses will hire their neighbors to work in. So what we want to do is find more ways that we look at our biggest challenges and look to the opportunities that small businesses could generate in order to do it. So when you think about Washington, D.C., I know that you'll think of this beautiful room that we're in. But I want you to know that you also have a mayor of a nation's capital that is committed to small business. We have programs that I won't name them all. If I did, that gavel might come out again. But we have a plethora of small business opportunities, small business grants and programs. And for those who are operating here, operating in the US, or maybe even operating around the world who want to look to DC as a place to locate, you should look at our website. It's very easy to remember, and it's somewhat humble, somewhat subtle, and it's just obviouslydc.com. So if you go to obviouslydc.com, you'll see all of the supports that we have for our small businesses. And what we want to do is make sure that our small businesses are able to be part of our comeback, be part of our growth, because we know that that is how we'll come back. Just one more thing that I'll say about our economy, because I know that you have a lot of business ideas, but when you think about DC's economy, all you have to think about is 3 buckets, 3 industries that we have that really dominate our economy. And it's really simple. It's kind of like obviouslydc.com. You just have to remember that DC's economy is driven by the feds, the eds, and the meds. So when I talk about those 800,000 employees or workers in the city, 200,000 of them are actually federal government workers. There's a tremendous opportunity for businesses who want to work with the federal government or who may be regulated by the federal government to be present here in Washington, D.C. And then when you look at our top 15 private employers, out of those top 15, 5 of them are eds, so our large universities, and 5 of them are meds, so our healthcare delivery system, as well as our healthcare research system. So my pitch to you all is, whether this is your first time visiting or whether you've visited more times than you can count, is that you think of Washington, D.C. as a place to set up shop, to be here, make this your entry point to the U.S., because when you're here, and I know Angela Franco, who will follow me, and Andres Hayes, who will follow me, will tell you about all the embassies and all the international connections. But when you're here, you're on the world stage, and you're very accessible to both the federal government, the local government, as you see, and then also to the international community. So thank you for being here. While I came in the room, or since I've come in the room, I've booked my ticket to South Korea, so I'll be with you next year. And I can't wait to grow this relationship. And thank you for having me and for having the district represented here today.
Mr. John Falcicchio, Deputy Mayor of the Planning and Economic Development in the Government of the District of Columbia, ISSB thanks you for your support, and we recognize the amazing work Mayor Bowser is doing. Please send her our congratulations and tell her ICSB supports you all the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.